Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Today, we are talking with Melen. She is on a mission to help people feel good about their finances. She does this by partnering with her clients for a heart-centered, radically authentic financial adventure where she empowers you to awaken your inner dragon and crush financial isolation so you can be wild and free. Not two words you hear together very often when it comes to finances, but I'm loving it. Welcome to the show, Wave. I'm so excited to have you here.
Hello, thank you.
So I was over on your website, and I love the unicorn references and the sparkliness. It's just like so refreshing to see this around finances, because finances are one of those things that are just like this dark box that hides in the corner, and or the monster under your bed, because it always attacks us at night.
Definitely.
So, how did you get started in this, and what are you doing? And tell us all the stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And I am so passionate about this topic. It definitely comes from a place of wanting to share what happened to me, what I discovered, and I can't wait to tell other people. So this is perfect. I grew up wanting Legos, and I got Barbies. And so I think my parents taught my brother how finances work. And I had no idea. I entered my 20s really confused about what adulting was. And it was also shocking because I realized that adulting now entailed 40 to 60-hour work weeks. And I was devastated. Even though I could work some of my passions, it felt really, really limiting that this was going to be my entire life. And there's so much like excitement when you're like, I'm going to grow up and be all these things. And then you get there and you're like, wait, what? And I quickly entered $30,000 in debt. Some of it was just consumer. Some of it, I think, just went to Amazon early on. Some of it went to schooling, medical things that happen in life. And it just quickly became an out of control process. And I had really no idea. I mean, pretty much zero, how it all worked. And I had no interest. It sounds like the most boring conversation I was going to have with anybody. Yeah. And so the existential question, though, for me was going through this process of I have this one precious life and I want to live it so full, but I keep running into walls about how I can do that because I'm stuck at this job. I'm stuck under bosses who are mean or places that don't value you. And that feeling, it was such a crisis moment. I did this worksheet one day, and it was like, figure out what one word is important to you. And I'm working it, and then the word that illuminated at the bottom was sovereign. And I was like, where is this word coming from? This is such a crazy word. And everything just clicked. How do I become I have so much that I want to be and so authentic, and I'm so far from that road. And so it started a journey. I realized that finances were actually holding me back. And I tumbled into a world actually on Instagram. It's called the Financial Independence Retire Early Community, so it stands for FIRE. I
Mhm.
honestly was just clicking through it, and it just resonated with me. Um, one thing that like I noticed was my brother was literally a financial analyst and had gone one complete direction. And I remember conversations him and my dad had over stocks. And I remember asking my dad what a stock was one day, and he was like, you don't want to worry about that kind of thing." You know, can you I mean, I don't know if that's like rings a bell.
It totally does. I grew up with two sisters, and my dad was in the military, so he was gone a lot. And my parents didn't talk about money. And, I just knew that I needed to get jobs. I started working when I was really young. Um, but I I just knew that I needed to save money. Nobody talked about credit cards. Credit cards weren't really a thing when I was young.
Mm,
They really became real prevalent along the time when debit cards started coming out because people started using plastic instead of writing checks.
yeah.
The old days, it was like you'd write the check, and you you knew you were going to have the money in the bank in like a day and a half, but you'd write the check early so that the money and the check hit the account at the same time. Can't do that anymore with debit cards. And checks and debit cards together, dangerous combination. You can overdraw your account so easily that way. But those were the things that I went through when I
Mm,
was um, in my 20s and 30s. But then, education wasn't as expensive as it is now,
mm,
or medical costs were a
right.
lot lower than they are now. Now, people entering into like adulting, and I have kids that are entering into the adulting world right now. And, the biggest thing that I warned them against was don't get into credit card debt.
Mm,
Use credit cards, but pay them off every month. Otherwise, you're going to get behind
mhm.
and it'll kill you. You just get crushed by the
Yeah.
interest.
There is this sense that I think most people feel that the system is not for us.
Mhm.
And that is really disenfranchising. It's really dark. It feels like if you're not going to win, then just kind of I
Give up.
the whole conversation just becomes like this is a drag on my life that I'm always going to carry these chains and I'm always going upstream. And I think that is, a lot of the people I talk to, they just have really deep feelings. They have shame. I had shame, embarrassment. They're laying awake at night alone, worrying, just crushing feelings. And it's all people. It's men, it's women, it's everyone in between. I'm an LGBTQ member and advocate because the more types of disenfranchisement you have, the more you feel like the system it's not even worth playing the game.
Yep, it's
And
failing you.
oh gosh, yeah, it's like, oh, don't get into credit card. Everything is just panic because we know all these stories and how it feels. And ah, and you don't want that for anyone, right? It's just heartbreaking. And so I just have this mission. I want people to fall in love with their finances. I want them to like know that it's okay to look at them, to look at the darkness of the feelings. There are still moments where I'm like, "Oh, why did I do that when I turned 21?" But it's okay. And I think this comes into conversation when we're open about it. Most people feel very isolated around this conversation. And I just feel like this is the moment for us to bring it forth to each other. I had this idea yesterday that we would throw like wealth building parties and you gather all your friends and then you talk about what's going on. And it's just like let's uplight this conversation because the heaviness, being isolated, it's not working for us. And all these beautiful people have dreams and it's like a financial piece and it's nobody's fault that we're not functioning
I think part of it is just the way the system is. It's designed to entrap you in debt so that you have to work at these really miserable places.
Mm,
And almost all of them are pyramid.
mm,
No matter where you work, it, it, even the professions like, being a doctor or a lawyer, these were that's like the pinnacle of what you were going to be a doctor. And doctors work for corporations now. They don't make that much money. And
mm.
relative to the amount of debt that they're in from medical school, it's I wouldn't suggest anybody become a doctor
Mm,
for any reason.
mhm,
It's not worth it
mhm,
because these big conglomerations own them and
mhm.
also own the insurance companies. So it's a big circular thing, and then they're feeding off the government, um, which is us. So they're sucking money out of our paychecks in a different way to
Right,
support this group at the very top.
right.
Um, so it's really, I don't think it's anybody's fault. And
Yeah,
I'm an advocate. If you're really buried in debt, file bankruptcy.
yeah. Do what you gotta need to do. There's a sense that people are waking up to this, right? We're familiar now that this system feels rigged.
Mhm.
And within that, I've seen this huge movement. Follow your passion, follow your vision, quit your job. If you follow your bliss, like it will happen for you. People will follow, they'll want to do. And I love that. I love that. I'm so excited. And I think there's a second piece to that, which might be the action step. I know a lot of people in my life are following what their like mission is on this planet or a few missions.
Mhm.
And I think the second part that I like to fill in for people is also like that most rooted like most rooted part is like let's get down to the nitty-gritty and the numbers. So I can help you maximize and optimize the game
Mhm.
and get excited about it. There's moments in my budget even if it can be stuff, it can be dreams, it can be a business. Before I started this business, I wish I had had a savings account that was like for your next big idea. You don't know what it's going to be, but I wish I had had savings for it because of course a new big idea is going to come and I'm going to want to fund it. And so it's just like so joyful for me. I did spend a year and a half really buckling down and paying off that debt. I just went for it. I paid off 30,000 in a year and a half and it was 3 jobs and it wasn't pretty and lots of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But from there, I now have the rest of my life to pursue what I'm here for. And some of those things go unpaid, helping wildlife, not a business yet. So it's just such a joy to bring people's passions to the next level, which is like, hey, we want to get you there. And how can we also incorporate looking at numbers without fear and feeling like the system's rigged. We've got to navigate it and I can't let people get bogged down. Like it's
And
just
it's
not
fun
fun.
when you overcome something like that. I mean, it's a big deal to pay off that kind of debt and to be on the other side of it. It's like, and yeah, it was a struggle, but man, you have a story now. You ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, a lot of them.
When you do
And
go
when
through
you
the
eat them
tunnel,
and when
yeah.
you eat them in the future, it's like, hey, this is a reminder. I did something really significant with my life.
That's true. I think coming out the other end, you just turn around and see people at the other side of the tunnel. And you're like, oh my gosh, you guys got to come through. Like, I know it looks dark, but it's bright over here, guys.
Yeah.
And, for me, sharing this with people is such a joy. And yeah, I still sometimes I'll do a weekly challenge. All right, peanut butter and jelly for, lunch every day for 7 days. Because I want to buy something cool for myself, right? Like, it's not about what you do with your money. I honestly don't care. if you want to spend it on, A or B, and I'm like, wow, I would never do that. Who cares? It's an energy, it's a form of energy that we transfer on a daily basis.
Mhm.
And it really affects our psyche, I think, to like compartmentalize it as that dark place or stress.
Yeah, and it's a lack of recognition that it's an exchange of energy.
Mm,
Money is just an exchange of energy, life energy for a lot of people, because you give up a certain portion of your life to acquire other things that you may perceive you need.
mm,
And we don't all have to. Well, let me explain. There was a time when you were, they called it keeping up with the Joneses.
mhm,
There was an appearance that if you had a big house and a new car, that you were doing really well. But the reality of that was these people were like in debt up to their eyeballs,
mm,
and they had to do all of these things. They would, spend a ton of money on a house and a vehicle, and then they're spending all their time having to work in order to pay for these things, and they're not able to enjoy this beautiful house and vehicle. And then vehicles always break down, so then you're really struggling because you're living paycheck to paycheck. And if you can get to a place where you're not living paycheck to paycheck, and housing and transportation are two of the biggest costs I think most
mm,
people experience in life.
mhm,
Education and medical are like a close second.
mhm,
But just being able to live within your means, and understanding what it takes for you just to get through the month.
mhm.
And that's just kind of like your base level. This is my base level of where I need to be. And then you've got to cover that somehow. Otherwise, you're going to have to figure out, how to lower those two expenses. Maybe you take the bus.
Yeah,
Maybe you find roommates.
yeah,
There are solutions to these things, but not looking at your numbers doesn't make them change. It just makes you fall further into the hole.
yeah. And there is that sense. It's like, I know I think I have a lot of clients who feel like my situation is so dire, there's no saving it.
Mhm.
And oh my gosh, that's that feeling. I think we all have some sense of it. And I am just here to tell you there are so many great ways to pull to pull people, from that feeling into a better one, because I really believe anyone can start winning this situation, this game. I don't know if the game metaphor is always my favorite, but I'm feeling it today because there does seem to be a sense of, yeah, like combating all these different things, like you're saying, like our health insurance systems and all these systems. But yeah, no, it's pretty powerful. It's, real wealth. I I actually recently had an experience. I thought I was kind of above, or had maybe not above, but past the feeling of wanting things that other people had, because I was so clear on my vision and what I want. However, I went to a new friend's house the other day and I had that moment. I had a keeping up with the Jones moment. And I was so shocked that I was affected by it, but it really got to me and it really just showed how human that experience is. I was like, wow, they have such a nice dining room table. And they have like this whole backyard. And I came home really confused. Like, do I want, do I need more stuff? Like, I felt really good there. But, that's the clarity of knowing who you are and what you want.
And it's okay. It's okay to learn to appreciate what other people have rather than
Mm,
wanting it for yourself. Like, you can always go over there and sit in that yard and
that's true.
enjoy it. And you can go over there and sit and admire her dining room table. You don't have to possess it. It's
Mm,
cheaper that way.
mhm.
And you get to spend time with this new friend.
Totally. Yeah, I love that I got to wrangle with it. It
Mhm.
triggered all sorts of feelings in my system around, was I making enough? Should I be, you know and it's not always about being cheap. There's people who like, I want to grow wealth to whatever you want, help people do that. when I talk about awakening the inner dragon, I just feel like there's just this core, what are you here for? And how can we match that to your purchases? I know that
Mhm.
when I was in my early 20s and Amazon was new, I bought so many like random items that went to the junkyard. It's not value based, right? And so, can still make what some people might think a silly purchase, but I know that it aligns with who I am and what I want to do. So that practice is something I do walk through with people.
Mhm.
It's my favorite part. I had beliefs from my family. My dad was like, we are not, money doesn't grow on trees. And, I had a sense that we were very poor. But I don't think we necessarily were. I think we were fairly middle class and everything was probably okay. So it's just like all sorts of things that kind of come up for people and how that impacts our whole journey. So yeah, I just love it.
And parents are just people too. They're kids growing up along with you.
Hmm.
I look back at my kids now, it was like, yeah, I know what I was doing when I was your age,
Yeah.
and you were little babies. It's like, it's no wonder you have problems.
Yeah, yeah. There's so much
So,
compassion around that and so much fun to bring back, you guys can be in different conversation now too.
yeah, yeah, we can, and it's good. And they have a lot of kids, so we have lots of different conversations. They're
Yeah,
all in a different place, but
very
it's
cool.
fun to just get to explore who they are as human beings and not as kids, because they're not my kids anymore. They're just these people that I really enjoy being around,
Mm.
and I'm exceptionally proud of them. They're all they're doing really well. They've
Love
taken
that.
on adulting to a new level.
Yes,
Proud
I
of them
love
for it.
that.
But there's a lot about finances, and finances change from period to period. Like
Mm,
during COVID, I was thinking about this not that long ago, that during that time there was a lot more currency flowing around.
mm,
And so people were spending in weird ways.
mm,
Things were closing down, so there wasn't the ability to spend, doing impulse things. Like you couldn't go out to dinner a whole bunch because there was no place to go out to dinner, so
right.
people were cooking at home, and so grocery stores were getting more money. But it just the way spending happened, and the interest rates were like incredibly low. Like we refinanced, I'll admit it, we have
Yeah,
like an insanely ridiculous mortgage right now.
yeah.
It's just like, I am never
That's
moving.
great.
I'm
Let's
never
celebrate.
refinancing.
Let's have a party right now.
Yeah, yeah. But if you can take advantage of things like that when they happen,
Mm,
because we always go through cycles.
mm,
Sometimes, like right now, interest rates are kind of on the ridiculous side. I remember when I bought my first house, it was 10%. It's back up to 6 and 7% right now. Um, it's just, and credit cards go up and down too. And sometimes you can use credit cards, you can find, 0% interest cards. if you
mhm.
if you're carrying a big debt, transfer it to that, work on paying it down as much as you can, and then move it to a different card.
That's true. There are tons of strategies, and I I actually a friend from work sat me down and showed me a budget app, and I didn't even know what a budget really was, except it kind of looked like a video game to me, and I loved it. And so that was my introduction to some of that. And now I like the strategy is the hardest part. So I essentially had a financial coach walk me through all of these strategies. How do you gamify and make this fun? How do you get out and be strategic? And there is so much information out there. that's why I feel confident about my role. I love to be that partner and that adventure buddy. Like, hey, let's get you from like A to financial freedom, and it's going to take a little bit of, right, like organization, and anyone can
Mhm.
do that alone. I really just want people to do it together, and it doesn't have to be me, but like grab a friend, because like you're saying, there's all these like now, because the next level, like if we're getting out of debt, we're done with that. Now we wealth build. Now credit cards become a way to travel. Um, I of course carry a zero balance on my cards, but I rack up like $1,400 in travel a year. And now we're credit card hacking. And hacking is so much fun. Like, what's a cooler word
Yeah,
than that?
yeah, it is really fun. And it's like, and you start making all your purchases on your Amazon card because you get all these points and you can use that to buy stuff
Yeah, like
that you're
more, yeah,
gonna buy anyway.
go for it. Yeah, I've been thinking about that too. They have a 5%, so it's interesting. And I mean, people go real deep on some things. There's just all sorts of really fun ways to manage it. And it feels really heavy when you're in the debt side of things. But once you come out of that, there's all these amazing things. One is geo arbitrage, which is, having a higher income and getting to live in a lower income area. And a lot of people got to do that during COVID when they went remote. And or minimalism
That's
is
what we
one.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
minimalism and the small home thing, that whole movement, it required you to have minimal items. I mean, you can only have, I know some people that had like 100 items. If they bought something new, something else had to go. And so you really think about your purchases, you know,
I
and
love
it's
that.
kind of like the bigger the home that you live in, the more crap you acquire. And you recognize it when you move.
It's so
Believe me.
real. It's so real. And with that comes income creep. The more you make, the more you spend. And I know people who make six figures and are paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
It's not how much you make, it's how you value your time and money. And yeah, real wealthy people, they don't buy Lamborghinis. They value their time above all else.
Mhm.
So yeah, just getting that shift into our minds. It's helped. I have to remind myself every day. There are definitely people that I know that they want to live lavish. They do not want minimalism. That's their worst nightmare. Great. Let's get that for you. And I know that I've recently moved from like tent camping to like wanting something a little nicer, so you just have to shift, your vision and ideals, and that's great. And
We built a camper for our
oh,
truck.
very
We have a
cool.
flatbed truck and we built a wooden camper for it. It's beautiful.
Wait, how does it work? Does it sit on top?
Yeah. It sits on the flatbed and it
Ah,
has an overhang.
what a
It's
beautiful
it,
dream.
it was we my husband and I built it. Mostly I built it, but he helped. We didn't know how to use woodworking tools, so we had to A, buy them, and B, um, figure out how they worked. And there was this guy on YouTube, his name is Endgame, and he was building wooden campers. And my husband's like, campers for your truck are just so expensive. Let's build one. And when he says let's do something, it really means, here, honey, here's a project for you. Go do it. And I did.
That's so
And
rad.
I sent him a picture of it or a video of it and tagged him in it. It was pretty cool.
Mm,
It's great. We love it. It turned out really good.
that's
Very
amazing.
proud.
I'm in love with that idea. I think there's a sense, I mean, I'm a millennial. I think there's this idea of like retirement in the future. Like when I retire, we'll do all these things. And we should do them now. Like we should do
Yes,
them
you
now.
should.
And
Where you have energy.
yes, yeah. So I love that you guys did that. I think that's amazing. And it does set out the principles of, I don't know, just like when you have a vision and it brings you joy, that's what you should follow. And I love
And
that
it really
idea.
wasn't that expensive. It cost us maybe $5,000 or $6,000 to build the whole thing. including buying all the equipment to, like the chop
DIY,
saw and the
total
table
new
saw.
strategy. Yeah, another strategy. There's just so many fun optimization maximizations that I love. That's lovely. That's lovely.
And we have the best time. We go out in it, and we live in a place where you can go camping in like 30 minutes from your house. You're up in the mountains and it's beautiful. And so you don't have to like go forever. And so you can go overnight.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to look this up.
I'll send you a picture of it later.
Yeah, please do.
So I know that you have something that you offer people when they visit your website to kind of help them get started and help them get to know you. And you want to talk about that a little bit?
I do have a free guide. It's a checklist. The idea here is sometimes we need to start from the beginning, which is our beliefs and our vision. If we're going to get into looking at numbers, and I think that kind of stuff is a bit exciting, but I know that most people think budgeting is their worst nightmare and the conversation nobody wants to have. So where I want to start is getting our vision really clear. Like, hey, here we are, and what do I want? What do I want? Honestly, like I have someone in my family, what she wants is like really nice handbags and all sorts of things, and that's awesome. So I want to support that. And if that's the vision, that's so beautiful. Like, let's do that. I have other people in my life who they're huge hikers, complete opposite in that sense. They want to focus on that. Other people have businesses, and some of people like me, my interests, they're so varied. I don't know if I'll ever arrive at my purpose. And so how do we kind of get that? So my offering is to help people get a little clarity on their vision. And then we want to move to looking at the numbers, getting into the nitty-gritty, and looking at it with a fresh face. I know that the shame, guilt, and embarrassment I felt was so overwhelming. It was immobilizing. And so you'll see from my website and my offerings, like, we want to bring love and joy, and we want to bring a heart-centered approach to this. Because I think a lot of us just feel so alone in those feelings, and we're so here for it. So I hope that kind of gives, what I offer is a little bit of a start to how you can begin the process of embracing your financial life and letting it really lead the way and pave the way for what you want and your dreams. So it's an exciting website and offering.
Are you doing this one-on-one coaching, or is it a group coaching? Or are you hoping to get to group coaching?
I'm open to group coaching. I'm definitely doing one-on-one. That's like me and you partnering, or not you, maybe, but me and my client really working together. And I like to think it is a financial adventure. So we're adventure buddies. We're going to get through the adventure, through the forest. That's why there's magical beasts everywhere, because in my world, you have to, like, if we're not having fun, what are we doing?
Right.
My core values are love, laughter, that kind of thing. So if that matches what people are looking for, right? The opposite is, I think a lot of people think of like a white man in a button-down t-shirt with a collar at their gray desk being like, let's look at your finances. And that's actually, I don't want to make fun of that person, but it is a vibe, right? And for me, it's joy, laughter. We're going to do it from a place of love. We're going to do it together. And I want to empower people to be able to take it so they're not, relying on me. So we want to demystify those finances and then make it super fun, because obviously money
it can be just like this huge game.
It's just so fun to me, and I just want to share that with people. Like you said earlier, it's like you get out the other side and you have this huge thing to share with people. And
and it makes the world a better place.
Yeah.
So they can get a hold of you on your website, which is coachingwithwave.com, right?
That's correct. Yeah, coachingwithwave.com. I'm actually just starting a newsletter, and it's going to be a positive news. So if you open my newsletter, you're just going to see positive news articles. And it may or may not be related to finance, but it is time to ditch the fear and time to embrace the love.
Oh, I'm still with you, sister.
Yeah, and I'm a big, I am just a big person is reading the news and getting wrapped up in it, but this is going to be something that's really important to me, that we get to see good news. There's so much goodness out there, and let's share it. So if anyone does decide to join my newsletter, it will not be so much as finances, and it's going to be pretty heavy on good news.
Great. We need more of that in the world.
Feels like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I that sense, like, I want people to know that I'm here for them. And that's a natural process. So going to my website, you can email me, you can contact me. I am so here for it. Even if you just have a simple question, I am more than happy to answer it. If it's something I can do without coaching, we'll work on that. I do have 3 different offers. So I do have a 5-month program. Mm-hmm. That's just full adventure style. Like, let's do this. I have been waiting, and let's get my whole life started. Let's start. I do have a 3-month version, which is a miniature version. I can definitely do that. All of these are individualized, personalized plans. And then I have a one-time kind of let's get at this. So most people, every client that I've had is thriving. It's so cool. And and it's just a process for me to be a part of. It is so beautiful. Yeah.
So what's the one thing you want to leave the audience with today?
Oh my gosh, please reach out to a friend or family member and just let them know if you're struggling at all financially, and just talk about it. This is going to be a radical act of self-love, to do this, to look at your finances in a new way. And it's a necessary act of community care. It is time to bring this into, out of the personal. This is not personal finance. This is now let's do this together. Please don't suffer alone. We all can do this together, and there is no amount of shame or guilt that's worth not reaching out.
And really on a global responsibility level, if everyone could figure out how to make their finances work for them, there's going to be more abundance everywhere. Because when people are in this fear and lack mindset, you tend to hang on to what little you have, rather than the abundance of, hey, I can just let this go, and I know more is coming back around to help me. It keeps the abundance flowing, the energy flowing, instead of damming it up. And in that way, the whole world really does benefit, because the people that lack, because they're at the far end of the stream, there's an abundance that can happen for them. And then they have enough resources that they can start producing, and then it just keeps the energy flowing. So it really is a big deal. Pay attention to your finances. Talk to Wave.
No, that's a great point. It's a form of waging peace on earth. I really believe that. Yeah. That's a lovely way to put it, to be in flow.
Thank you so much, Wave, for joining me today. This has been an amazing conversation.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to talk to you. It's so much fun, and thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the U World Order or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.